Hi, I'm James Eade of the Eade Foundation, and you can call me Jim. We're having a little technical difficulties today. I've actually had to unplug my producer because he was screaming in my ear. And so I'm going to ask you to bear with me today because this is episode 46 of the Chess Files. The answers are out there. And I'm James Eade of the Eade Foundation, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and a little bit about the Eade Foundation. And then I'm going to bring on a guest, and this is when the technical difficulties are going to show up, and you're just going to have to be patient with us because I really want the guest to tell us a little bit about himself and what he's doing. But we'll get to that in a minute. What about me? What about me? I'm James Eade, as I said, and although you can call me Jim, I started out as a chess player, and I got pretty good pretty young. I could win adult tournaments when I was a little kid, and I got to become a FIDE master. And what's a FIDE master? Well, a FIDE master is a guy who can get good enough to fight with grandmasters, but not good enough to become one. And, so this is what we do when we're FIDE masters. We pick it up. We can fight with them in year after year after year. Doesn't matter. That was at the last U.S. Open this year, fighting with the same grandmasters and still not winning. That was my story. So I started doing other things. I started organizing chess tournaments. I started writing and reading, continuing to read, but to publish my own books. And this was Chess for Dummies, one of the best-selling of all time. And then I got into other things, and I started the Eade Foundation. And the Eade Foundation is dedicated to building communities through chess. You might have picked up on this. I can never get that right. Yeah, that's the mission of the Eade Foundation, to build a community, and it's to give the resources that people need if they cannot acquire the resources themselves. So we send chess equipment and educational materials to people who cannot otherwise afford that. So we've started programs in Uganda, we've started programs in Zambia, and we've done things just about all around the world, and we're just getting started. We've also done things locally for scholastics. We helped sponsor the Scholastic Chess Classic in last spring, and we do things in senior centers. And you can tell that the woman standing next to me is the director of the senior center. She's not a senior herself, but it's important to keep your brain active when you're getting advanced in your age. It's just a number, but if you keep your mind active, you can delay the onset of symptoms that are associated with dementia, even Alzheimer's, even these hideous diseases that affect us when we get older. You can't prevent them, but you can delay the onset of symptoms. This has been proven, to my satisfaction at least, and who cares what other people think. But we start with the scholastics, and we go up to, we can't take you to the level of becoming a grandmaster. That's not our mission, but we'll never make you as strong as Yermolinsky, Grandmaster Yermolinsky, or someone like that. But we will help you get started. There's one thing I want to show you. This Grandmaster Misha became the youngest Grandmaster of all time, and this is at the U.S. Open in Cherry Hill, New Jersey this year. And there's a little picture of him on the cover of Chess Life, and it was just outstanding. And he won the very first Arthur Award given by the Eade Foundation to support chess excellence. So chess literacy and chess excellence is the mission. So today's question is, why would you run for the U.S. Chess Board? I did. Why did I? And I had forgotten why. So I've asked someone to come on and explain it. And what is U.S. Chess? U.S. Chess is the national governing organization for chess. And it's a member of FIDE, which is the international governing organization for chess. FIDE is the French acronym, Fédération Internationale d'Échecs. Échec is the French word for chess. And they use this little of chess, d'échec. Don't embarrass myself by speaking French anymore. But I'm going to ask Kevin Pryor to come on now. And this is where we're going to have some technical difficulties. So we can't speak at the same time. So when I want Kevin to speak, I'm going to point to my chin. And so you're in on the inside joke. So here's Kevin. Kevin, hi.
Hi, Jim. Thank you for having me.
is my pleasure. Yeah, Kevin is going to have to be muting and unmuting himself every time, and this is why we are going through these shenanigans, these little pantomimes. But Kevin, if my producer was in my ear right now, he would be telling me to ask you the human interest questions. And for the sake of letting you speak, I'm going to ask three of them off the top. Where did you grow up? Where do you live now? And how did you get started in chess?
All right. So I was born in Mount Vernon.
I can't hear you, Kevin.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was born in Mount Vernon, New York, and to a military family. So we moved around quite a bit. But anytime my father would go on a tour of duty, we'd always go back to the New York City area. It's, just on the other side of New York City. It's Westchester County, but it's the very low end, right next to the Bronx. And what was your second question?
The second question I asked, where do you live now? And then how did you get started in chess?
Great. So I apologize for the nerves. I can't hold them. But I currently live in Florida, and I was living for a very long time, over 25 years, in Jacksonville, which is northeast. And we moved last year to Gainesville, which is about 2 hours southwest, which puts us about an hour and a half north of Orlando. And we moved here because my wife and I both retired from working, and we decided it would be smart to be close to family. And my daughter lives here, along with her husband and our very first grandson. So the great thing was my daughter, she's a doctor of nurse practitioner, and so she needed some help, and we were available. We came down. But the bonus is, within a year and a half, my son, who works for state government in Florida, was able to relocate here in Gainesville as well. So he, his wife, and their newborn son are here. So I've got both of my grandboys within a 4-mile radius.
That has to put a smile on your face. And so do you ever have to babysit?
Oh, absolutely. And loving it. Loving it. We babysit my oldest grandson. He's 2, 2 days a week. And of course, I live for him to get out of the car and start hollering, "Grandpa, Grandpa." And I'll be like, "Hey, let's go fly the drone. Let's go jump in, the backyard." And we just have a great time. And so, yes, we babysit whenever asked, because it's a joy.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. And I want to ask you now, how did you get started in chess?
All right, so I got started in chess when I was about 12. I got one of those 8-in-1 game sets, that comes in the big box. And one of my neighbors comes over to play, and he says, "Hey, this chess game, you could play this." And I'm like, "I don't know how to play it." So he showed me the moves. And, I putzed around with it, and I told my dad that I know how to play chess. And he's like, "Do you really?" And it's like, "Yeah." He says, "Well, you should play me." So I played him. He destroyed me. And of course, every time, then he'd start talking trash too. Like, this bishop is fianchettoed on this diagonal. He's coming for it. It's like, why all of this, Dad? Isn't it enough that you're beating me? So then my mom says, he has a book. I'm like, what book? So I asked him, could I borrow the book? This is the book. It's Larry Evans' book, Chess Beginner to Expert.
Oh, cool.
So this is the first chess book I ever had, and it's the one that my dad was using to beat me. So I poured through the book, started beating him, and of course, you've heard this many times. Once I beat him, he didn't want to play anymore.
My dad too?
Yes. So then I continued, to play a little bit, but I was just basically following the diagrams in the book and learning. And then chess fell off the radar for years, until I was in a dentist's office and I saw the magazine there for Chess Life. I open it up and one of those little things falls out. The little card, the little postcard. So I filled it out, sent it in, and I started getting the magazine. And I thought, well, this is really cool. And I saw in the back of the magazine, they had these computers. So I ordered one. So for the next 5 to 10 years, this was the only person that ever played chess with me.
Fidelity.
Yeah.
That
So,
is so cool.
so I played with my Fidelity chess computer for about 10 years. And then um, one day at college, I actually saw that there was a tournament. And so I played in this little intramural tournament. And basically, the Fidelity computer and the book taught me enough to actually win that little tournament. So that was back in the 80s. And of course, I really played a little bit here and there. But in 2014, I logged on to chess.com. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing against people. I've never played against people. And I was having such a good time that I decided to reach out and find out in Jacksonville if anyone was playing chess. And when I went to the Jacksonville Chess Club website, it was an obituary page. And I thought, what's going on here? And it turns out that the person who was running the club had passed away. So they had linked to his obituary page, the mortuary page, and that was running on the front page of the magazine. So I ended up looking around and found out that there was a group that was meeting on Sundays. I visited them, asked if there was any place that people were playing chess, and maybe there's a tournament because I'd like to get a rating. And they told me that there was one coming up, and I called and spoke with this young man named William Bowman. And he says, oh, you'd be more than welcome to come. He says, just renew your U.S. chess membership. So I did. And in July of 2014, I walked in, played my first 5 rounds of over-the-board rated chess, and actually won 2 of the 5 games. I had a provisional rating of about 1320. And the young man, I asked the young man, I said, there's only about 14 people here. I'm like, are there more? And he's like, this is about the best we can get. And I said, well, I've run organizations before. Can I help you? And the rest is history. From there, I just started helping to the point that I was helping bigger and bigger, helping on the state, helping nationally, and then now I'm on the executive board. So I've got a very unusual story because I didn't come up through the ranks. I didn't play chess with a lot of people over the last 10 years. I haven't been a delegate, very long. So, in fact, when I went to my first delegate meeting in 2017, I didn't know anybody. I just walked in. But being a military kid, I was used to being the new kid in school. So I walked around and started introducing myself and meeting people and talking. And some people, were very nice. And the next year I went back again. And this next year, that following year, 2018, and that was in Madison, Wisconsin. I saw you on stage because you received an award at that event. And I actually walked outside after you'd gotten off stage and introduced myself to you. And you were outside. I remember you were smoking a cigarette. So you went outside the building. Yes, exactly.
I don't smoke anymore.
And I just started chatting you up. It's kind of what I do, just to meet people because I didn't know anyone.
I remember that, and I did not know your name.
Yeah. So
but I remember you coming up to me, yes.
Just being friendly because, when you're new, you can sit along by yourself and whatever, or you can just start meeting. And my big thing has always been to meet people and to try to help people enjoy what I'm doing or whatever it is. And I was just doing that. And in the meantime, working in Jacksonville, starting the tournaments here, learning to become a tournament director and organizer, reaching out. And one of the things I found is with many older chess clubs like Jacksonville had a remnant of a chess club. Whenever children would show up, they wouldn't necessarily be warm towards the kids. Yet I was, because I'd been a little league coach, coached my daughters. I'd been a Boy Scout leader that actually had a troop that in 5 years we had 13 Eagle Scouts, which is not the norm. But I found out that to crack the code, all you needed to do was make sure that the boys were good friends, because then they're doing everything together with their friends. And it wasn't about scouting or any other thing. So when the kids would show up to play chess, I was just going into Scoutmaster coach mode and enjoying the presence of these little guys. And before I knew it, Jim, there were 10 of them. There were 20. There were 40. There were 50. There were 100.
This is how you build a community. I'm so proud of you and love to hear that.
Yeah. So, and then the interesting thing was when I restarted the Jacksonville Chess Club and I did the research to find out about 501c3, how to renew the affiliate, and everything to get it off the ground. One of the things that I thought was I was doing all of this for the people who had been the existing members of the club. Yet, interestingly enough, the people who had been a part of it really were comfortable meeting like in a little coffee shop or somewhere on the side. And as these new kids were showing up, they weren't so keen on all of that. And so by growing as we were doing with these new faces and then creating the website, I started getting emails and phone calls from people who were new to town or were saying, we've never found a chess club around here. And before you know it, we're having 100-player tournaments. So I'm thinking, man, I've got to try to increase my tournament director because somebody's gonna tell on me that I'm a club TD holding tournaments of like 40, 50 people or more. And so I started going about trying to get the next level certification and things like that so that I could just prepare myself to meet the challenges of a growing chess community.
That is an incredible story, Kevin, and the idea of being welcoming, because the first time you walk into a chess club, and I moved around, I was transferred from job to job and within the same company, but getting promoted and moved around to different towns. And sometimes women would kick me out of the house and, that sort of thing. And anyways, I was always showing up and wherever I was, I could find a chess club. And I'd walk in and it wasn't the most welcoming environment. And if they did talk to you, they didn't ask your name. They asked, what's your rating? And I can only imagine being a woman or a child or a girl walking into that atmosphere, how intimidating that must be to have someone like yourself. And I found clubs like that where someone was outgoing, social, and friendly, and it made such a difference. It was amazing to watch those people, how they behaved compared to all the other clubs I had been in. And it makes a tremendous amount of difference. Not only to have your phone number available or your email address, but also to be welcoming when they walk in the door. So my hat is off to you.
Thank you. Well, another thing that happened during this time as the group was growing, I was still trying to play tournament chess. My wife always teases me. She says, I thought you started playing chess so that you could get good. She says, but you seem to be helping everybody else get good. She's like, what's up with that? And then of course she starts teasing me because often I get involved in helping, and then I'll end up becoming like the president. So she started teasing me. You're not going to be the president of this thing, are you? I'm like, no, I really don't. I'm just trying to help. And so I go to this one tournament and I sit next to a young girl. She's a teenager. She was rated higher than me. She was about 15, 1600. And so I was just talking, just being chatty and friendly. And I said, what do your friends think about you being such a good chess player? And she says, I never tell them. She said, I don't tell any of my friends that I play because those girls would think that I'm weird. And I thought, geez, I've coached Little League. I've coached 3 different girls' softball teams because I have 2 daughters. And so those daughters of mine and their teams were just awesome, great friends. It was wonderful. And I came back to Jacksonville, and we had about 6 or 7 girls who would come to tournaments. And I sent them an email, and I promised them that I was going to put on an all-girls tournament. And so we did. And we had like 7 or 8 girls show up and played. And I not only did the tournament, but I also treated them to a catered lunch and included T-shirt. And so I wanted it to be special. And my tagline was the Jacksonville's Queen's Cup. We treat every player like a queen. And within 3 years, we've got 60 girls in that tournament.
Kevin, I can't express how amazed I am, although I'm not at all shocked because I've seen this done by people before. And all it takes is someone to take the initiative and make it happen because the girls are out there. They will play chess. They are not inferior at chess, but we have peer pressure that pushes them away. And what we want to do is be inclusive and embrace them when they come in, not physically, that would be tut, tut, tut. But what we want to do is to make them feel at home. So sometimes they do all girls tournaments and people are saying, oh, they shouldn't do that. They should do that. And they argue back and forth. But the idea is if they feel more welcome in an all girls tournament, then they're more likely to play chess. And isn't that what we want? We want them to be playing chess to get the joys of chess, all the benefits that chess can give you. And I've talked many times on this show about how when you introduce a chess to a child, you give them a gift that lasts a lifetime. The skills they learn are directly transferable back into the classroom. It's an educational tool. It's a pleasant pastime as an adult. And it's a solace in old age. The typical picture of two men playing in a park, two old men playing in a park. They're not worried about the hospital bill or their next doctor's appointment. They're just playing chess and all their aches and pains go away. So chess can be from the early ages to the older ages. They can enjoy the game of chess, and it doesn't matter how big you are, how short you are, how fast you are, how slow you are. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what country you're from. Nothing matters but the game of chess and the rules of the chessboard and whether or not you can follow them. So this is, introducing the chess to women and to girls is a phenomenal thing, but that is not all that you do. Tell me a little bit about being a state president.
Yes, well, the Jacksonville North part of Florida was considered a chess wasteland, but we revived it. And because we were having so much fun and having so many people getting involved, people started traveling from Central and South Florida to come up and play in our tournaments. Well, that same young man who I called initially to be able to play in the tournament ended up becoming the president of the Florida Chess Association. So he came calling. So he says, Kevin, I want you to be a part of this. So you just have to run for the board. And I said, okay, William, I'd be willing to help. He says, all I need you to do is just do for Florida what you've done for Jacksonville. And I'm like, okay, I will do it. I'll do whatever I can. And so I run, I get 12 votes and get elected. That goes to show you not a lot of activity. 12 votes got me in. I figured it wasn't going to work like that. But not long after that, I just basically said, okay, so William, what do you need? What do we need to do? And he started pointing out issues. And before retiring, I was responsible for worldwide shipping of the AccuView disposable contact lens for Johnson & Johnson. So I had a team that was focused on delivering a product around the world. Plus, I was a project manager and I led projects, particularly Six Sigma belt type projects, which are process improvements approaches, and then also developing people. So I said, I've got the skills, tell me what you need. And so one of the things he says is, we can't seem to keep up with our membership. So I had been the president of a bicycle club. We had about 1,500 members. So we actually did a conversion to a cloud-based management system. So I told William, I can do that. I can work on it. So I took an Excel spreadsheet that had about 120 members that was poorly maintained, because whenever you'd have the state championship, you'd have to run around behind people to find out if they're members or not. And then even though they paid their entry fee, you then have to nickel and dime them for membership dues. So it was really an embarrassing thing that we couldn't stay on top of that. And I was able to lead that project, convert our files over to a membership management database that does almost everything you'd want, from soup to nuts, including the ability to run polls and elections. It manages the people. It notifies them when they're about to expire. This was something that wasn't happening before. People would expire and wouldn't even know about it. You can immediately get information on demand. It even has a forum feature that allows us to do legislation type activity right there on the website. It is a web host with a super easy web builder. And if you ever go to floridachess.org, you'll see the website, and it's really neat. We put our newsletters on there. We've got all kinds of information, and it was just an easy win, low-hanging fruit.
Kevin, that's amazing, and I'm going to change my. You can go. You can see scrolling across the bottom of the screen is my foundation's URL, and you can go to that. Let me just remind everybody that it's an award-winning website, but I don't want them to know about yours next year. No, I will promote yours now. Let me see if I can do this because I'm not the best. My producer took the day off. Can you imagine? So is that your URL?
Actually, that's the URL
Oops,
for
you're muted.
For my, oh, sorry. Yes, that's the URL for what I put together for a campaign for the executive board. I figured nobody knows me. I might as well just put up a website. So I built that for people to learn something about me.
Great. And I want to call attention. Thanks. We're going to have to play this little pantomime. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, dear viewer. Hi, Mom. And I think that we want to call attention to what you've done and how accomplished you've been. And I'm not just, trying to be nice to my guests. I'm really impressed. And it's a real tip of the hat to what you've done in Jacksonville and for Florida in general. But I want to talk also a little bit about what you're going to do. Before I ask you what your plans are on the board of the National Governing Organization for Chess, why did you think about running?
So my exposure to the governance of chess came through becoming and that's what I thought it needed to do. So I went maybe I get there and find out I was thinking that's interesting. But the first year I learned exactly the things I learned. I was surrounded by people back in the 80s and 90s that I had I'm looking at this real time. So I'm basically idle watching as I see Joe Benjamin and Beto Robles and stuff. I've seen these guys. Of course, I saw them 20, 25 years ago. They were all, younger. We were all at one particular point, I'm sitting in the delegates meeting. and this later I find out it was Bill Lombardi. So basically, my exposure to chess and governance, each time I would go, maybe come back to Florida and come back with a bigger vision. I'm telling William, I'm telling the Florida board, we can do this, we should do that, we should focus here, we should focus there. After a while, William kind of says, can you hear anything about me? He says, I think we should do it. So through that, I got more involved. And then as I go to these national events, it started making there's more to be done. So I decided to be part of it. And I joined the clubs committee, and then I joined the senior committee. And then later, I spoke with Alex Raleigh about joining the states and the Philippines committee to just see if I could mentor since I was the president.
Sure.
It's clearly exposure to the government because U.S. chess can be a little bit people who've been around for 10 years, 20 years, and if you're new, unless you're outgoing and willing to put yourself, this is okay, I'm a new guy, it can be a very quiet place. And so, in the process of doing that, working on some of these committees, I got some exposure, people started to learn what I was doing.
Shout out to the nominating committee. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, Kevin, thanks. I, I ran for the board in 1995 and got elected and started serving in 1996. And I did a 3-year term back in the 90s. And I was pretty much like exactly what you were describing, because my experience was in Cal Chess, the Northern California Chess. And I was president of that. And it was very collegial, and everybody was about the work. And, I went to the USCF and I found these factions, and I said, oh my goodness, not for me. But one of the things I noticed about you, why I invited you on the show, was like we could be standing next to each other in the elevator and we would strike up a conversation. We'd walk by the registration desk and you were friendly. You were just able to talk to people. And this is what I think we need, is not so many people that are banding together to oppose or to support something, but people that want to do the work. Because this is what I found when I was zone president in FIDE. I found that there were a lot of people about the work, and there were a lot of people that were about getting something, a privilege or something that they were. And so this is, I think, a volunteer organization's bane. You get a lot of people in volunteering, and then they want what they want to be done. And but if you go in there with the mindset of we're all in the same boat, we should all be pulling our oars in the same direction in order to get the boat to where we all want it to go. And what we all want is to become more popular than it is in the United States, as popular as it is in Europe, as popular as it can be in Argentina, other countries. Other countries, it's not strange for a 15-year-old girl to be playing chess. And in the United States, they don't want to talk about it. I had a grandmaster friend. He was talking to a woman, and I told him, the woman, that he was the U.S. chess champion. And later on, he goes, "Don't ever tell him that. There's nothing to be embarrassed about by being a chess player, by being good at chess. Chess gives so much more than you could ask it to give. You don't even know the benefits that you're getting. Kids think they're at recess. They think they're playing, and they're learning. And this atmosphere of friendliness, of inclusion, this is what I've seen in you, Kevin. This is what I want to commend you for. And I want to encourage you to keep doing it." Shout out to Maureen. Shout out to Jennifer. Yes, she is. Yes. Mm. And it is work, Kevin, and I commend you for that, and I commend all the board members for the sacrifices that they make to be in service. And so, you know, they can get a little cranky because chess players are good at complaining. We're not good at complimenting. We're not good at saying thank you. We're good at complaining. This didn't go the way I wanted. So anybody who's on the board will get people complaining to them, and you just have to have a little thick skin. You just have to have a little, just remind yourself that I'm in a service position. Just, you know, listen to them, hear them, make them feel heard. And these are not characteristics that everyone possesses, but you do. And I must say that this friendliness and this encouragement and this willingness to do the work is just what we want in board members. And I think you're a shining example. You're a new board member, so we're going to have to look at your track record before we go, you know, yay, Kevin. But is there anything that you would like to see U.S. chess? We mentioned the girls, more girls playing chess is absolutely something that we're both interested in achieving, and we're not alone. Is there anything else that's really like something that you're passionate about accomplishing? Oh, no, that's right. Why not? Shout out to Maurice. We're all great. Oh, Kevin, I'm gonna take this opportunity to ask you a question that I think I know the answer to. You know Professor Shabazz? Yes, of course. And and the reason I brought him up is, isn't he on the nominating committee? Naeem Shabazz. Shout out. Shout out to David for all his good work as well, Maureen and David. I mentioned Professor Shabazz because I have had him on my show at one point, and we agreed to exchange books. And of course, I sent him this, and he sent me his wonderful book about Emory Tate. And so all of these things are like, I really would, afterwards we could talk about how do we do this for historically Black colleges. So this is, something that I could really get behind as well, because it's all about reaching out and being inclusive rather than exclusive. Like, I'm a good chess player, you're not. Turn my nose up at you. No, this is about anybody can experience the joys of chess. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Not everybody has to be a grandmaster Alex Yarmolinsky, and not everybody will be, even if they want to be. The idea, though, is that you can have fun playing chess. You can learn the skills that chess provides you, and you can have more fun than Kasparov and Karpov can when they're beating their heads against each other for the world championship. And I'm not saying Magnus Carlsen doesn't have fun. Of course he does, but it's not about the strongest. It's the one who fits best, not the fittest. And it's the ones that fit best that make others fit in that I think are doing the best work for chess. And so it's a time for me. If my producer was here, he's screaming at me that I've run over time. But I just tip my hat to your efforts, and I wish you the most success in whatever you do for chess. And right now, you're on the board of the national governing organization for chess, and I will support you and just give me a call if you need anything. And I hope everyone will go to your website, find out a little bit more about you, and offer their services. Because if you have something to offer, why wouldn't you? If you have something to give it. This is the purpose of the Eid Foundation. This is the purpose of this show, and to remind people that we're all in the same boat and our oars should be pulling in the same direction. And thank you again for being a guest. And I'm going to allow you one last time. If there's any question I haven't asked you, and anything else you want to say, please do so now.
I would like to just thank the people that certain regions of the West. Very sharp. So that's been a lot of fun that I look forward to doing over the next 4 years or so.
Thank you. And Kevin, I'm going to take you backstage, but thanks so much for being my guest today. All right, that was Kevin Pryor, currently a board member, an executive board member of the United States Chess Federation. And the last thing I want to tell you about is not only go visit the award-winning chess website, the efoundation.org, because we are a charitable organization. And your donations help us help others, because the people that we help don't have the resources to help themselves. Help us help them join the chess community. And we will build communities through chess. So thank you so much for being part of this, viewing this episode 46 of the Chess Files. The answers are out there. Thanks again for coming.